I'm back downstairs at the little HO layout here, and I had an idea. I had an enormous amount of the Menards track left over, and I had, if you remember from the Garden Railway videos, I had dismantled all of the rails so I could put my new ties on there, which didn't work. So I ended up with a couple hundred rails that were useless, and I tried to sell them on eBay and couldn't. So I got another idea. I said, one thing I've always wanted to do is build a ceiling railway. This house is going to be filled with trains. And I was thinking about that, and I said that would be a good way to reuse the Menards rails. I would just have to get ties that worked. And what I did is I went back to the computer and I redesigned my original ties, and these came out much better. They're really tight. I mean, I'm squeezing this and it doesn't move a bit, and you can't move these. They slide on fine, but once they get into position where the crimp used to be, they're really tight. And so these are not going to move at all. These are exactly the way they're supposed to be. And of course, no shorts because it's all plastic. So I did a test to make sure this would work. And then I ordered, like I did before from Craft Cloud, I ordered a bunch of these, not as many as for the Garden Railway, but enough to do the whole setup for the ceiling railway. Of course, then there was the problem of where am I going to put this ceiling railway? It wasn't really something that would have been welcome all the way through our entire house, but I was thinking, well, should I do it in my little office room? Yeah. Then I thought, well, why don't I do a train above a train? So I've got the HO set up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the setup up there. So above the HO setup, there'll be a ceiling train running around. And how did I do this? Well, I went back to the 3D printer, and I'll have a link in the description to the file on Thingiverse. And I developed my own bracket for doing just that. It is fairly simple. There are two little, let's see if I can, it doesn't want to focus, does it? What if I go like this? There we go, that's better. There are two little holes here that are designed to fit exactly where the Menards holes would have been, even if you have the original steel version. And then up top, there's just a single hole where you put a number 10 sheet metal bolt or screw through. And I'm using a hex head on that because not a hex head, what do they call that? It's, anyway, it's for a ratchet because you can't get a screwdriver in here properly to screw forward. So the ratchet driver just screws it right into the ceiling, and I'm screwing it in where the joists are. So it'll be nice and sturdy all the way around, and it'll go all the way around there, and then it'll go all the way around there, and all the way around there, and then back to there. So just make a simple circle around. And that's where I plan to run the train I got from Cedar Point, the really nice Lionel one. That one actually has been returned because it turned out it didn't work. But when that comes back fixed, then I will be able to put that up there, and I'll be able to remotely control that, which will be really nice. I won't have to have a little, all I have to do is get power to it, and I can just remotely control it with a remote control, duh. All right, so let's get back to work and see how many of these I can get in today. All right, making progress. These are not matching up with these, obviously, because these have to be 16 inches on center to go into the ceiling joists there. And, you know, these are whatever they are. And of course, because they're 30 inches, not 36 inches, they don't make it across a 32-inch gap between two joists. So I've got to put one of these at every joist. And what that means is that I'm going to have to make quite a few more of these. I'm also a little concerned. I checked the corners, and the 36-inch track I have left over from the Menards goes perfectly around there, and go straight, then it'll go perfectly around there. The trouble is I'll need 8 sections of that, and I have 7, of course. So I'll have to grab another Menards track. Anyway, yeah, but this is going to work out really well. I like that. I like the design. And I was able to get these in really well without using those hex bolts that I had, because what I did is I went and I got myself a 90-degree attachment for my drill. So I can just do it really easily with Phillips screws. Much, much easier to get in there. It goes in like a breeze and holds really well, very sturdy, so I'm not worried about that. I'm going to have to shift some of the ties around in order to get them to fall in the right place so I can screw them down so the track doesn't wobble. But other than that, good progress. I've just got to print up a ton more of these, and then I should be good to go with the rest of them. Okay, making a little progress here. And we got the curve going around there, and we got the track all the way down to there. And I'm out of brackets, so I'm cranking them out as fast as I can. And then we just got the curve there, and the brackets there, and around to there. And then I just got to put the rest of the straight pieces in there, but I can't do that until I get the rest of the new ties in so I can put the rails back together. So probably a little bit of a pause here while I wait for my 3D printed pieces to come in and be done. All right, well, I should have done this from the beginning, but of course, I like doing things the hard way. So I did a test here to run this through, and it sometimes makes it, sometimes doesn't, but on the corners, not. So all of these braces are too narrow. I needed to make them probably a couple centimeters wider in order to give them enough room. Now you can see how the track is not perfectly aligned, but even when I perfectly align it on the curves, it's still gonna slam. So in theory, I could just redo these on the curve to give it a little bit of width to make it around there. And as long as I keep these perfectly centered over here, that shouldn't be a big issue. Or I could just redo them all. Now, I've ordered new filament because as I was making the rest of these, I ran out of filament. So I had to order more silver filament in order to finish it off. And so I ordered a ton of it. And I have plenty of filament to go around. So I could, in theory, redo all of these. It would take a while. But that might be the best option. That way I don't have to worry about that at all. I was a little concerned from the beginning about how this would play out, and I should have tested it, and I didn't. And that's the way I roll. So back to the old drawing board. All right, we have the new wide-bodied braces. So I can still use the narrow ones on the straightaways, but the wide ones for the curves, I think, are going to work fine. And there's our test car. And if I give it a little push, makes it fine. And same thing going around the other way. Makes it through fine. So that problem is solved. As long as I keep these centered in the middle of these narrow braces, I'm fine. And I'll do that the same for there. So the wide gives me enough room, enough wiggle room there. So now all I got to do is get, since I have now spare ones of these, I can finish up the ones I need here. And I was able to eke out enough filament to get the rest of these done. So I should be able to finish this off today. And then I just have to wait for the new ties to come in to put the track together, the Menards track, and then I should be good. Oh, and I did order from Menards a few more of the curve pieces because obviously I'm going to be one short around the curve here. So I ordered enough to make up for that. So we're off and running. Shouldn't be long now. All right, all the braces are up all the way around. And once I get the straight track in, I should be good. I just realized I gave Menards more of my money for no apparent reason because I had completely forgotten. You remember those? Well, I don't know if you remember them, but the little battery-operated cars that I ran on the track when I was testing the Garden Railway? Well, I forgot they came with a pile of 36-inch tracks. So I have plenty. I have way more than enough 36-inch track to finish this layout. So I don't have to worry about that. All I needed was one, and I've got, I don't know how many, eight of these. So I'll have plenty to go around, literally. So I can't really do anything else because I don't have any more straight track. Well, I mean, technically, I do have a part of a box of the Menards straight from the Garden Railway down there. That's all put together, but I want to use this one because I want the ability to slide the ties along the rails to match up with where they have to fit on the brackets. So I'm going to wait for those, but it's nice to know I have plenty of track for what I need here. And now it's just a waiting game with the post office. Okay, the ties came in. So I got a couple hundred more of these ties, the corrected ones that are a little tighter. And something I also did, and I've got the box of a couple hundred rails behind me. And what I did is I designed and 3D printed, looks like a tuning fork, but it's a press in order to get these on with minimal effort. So let's give it a shot. So all I got to do is fit one of these in at a time. It might be easier if I just do it like this at first. Okay, there's one. And there's two. And there's three. So that's the easy part. And now with this, all I got to do is press and it slides it right down. Nice and easy. And I just grab another tie and rinse and repeat. And again, probably easier if I do it this way to start it. one. There's two. And there's three. There we go. And I just do 5 of these on this. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these to do. And that should do it. So I'll keep plugging along here. The track is all together. And just like with the garden railway, I use my little mini chop saw to cut the pieces to the right length. So it all fits perfectly around there. Now, what I've got to do is adjust all these movable ties here to be right in the center of the hangers, and then screw them in so that the track is stable. With the curved pieces that have the crimped metal ties on there, I'm going to have to move the bracket itself in order to line it up correctly if it doesn't line up, because I can't move the crimped ones. But there it is, all complete. And I even wired up the connector here, so that's all set to go. And I have the little jumper right there, and the wire comes down all the way through there, goes all the way into there, and over to my little mini Lionel transformer that I just use for the lights on the HO layout. So I'll use that to power the train, because it's such a short loop, it shouldn't have any problem with that. And then it'll be a matter of getting rolling stock for it. Now I have my old Lionel rolling stock that I can try out on there for now, but see if I can get some nicer stuff that can go around there when the large-scale train show comes around in a few months. All right, we've got all of the straight run here done all the way along, and it went in pretty easy. And you can see up there 2 screws in each of these, and that's a lot sturdier than I expected it to be. There's no wobble there at all. It's pretty amazing. And now I got to get the corners, and like I said, I'm gonna have to unscrew those and slide them over a little bit so it lines up with the brackets. Not sure if I'm gonna go that way with that one or that way. Probably come back this way a little bit. Then I've got to do that one, move that one, because that bracket won't move. And that one I can move the bracket, and then those I have to adjust, and then just do those on that side, and it'll be done. Shouldn't take too long. All right, corners are done all the way up to there. I've only got 4 more brackets to screw in, and then we can give it a test. All right, everything is together. And I've got the good old trusty EMD locomotive up there. So that's what I'm going to use to just make sure everything's working. So let's give it a shot, see what happens. And look at that, we have ignition. Oh, I'm gonna have to look at that. It hung up there for some reason. Okay, I figured out what was going on here. What had happened is when the track went together, one of the pins was outside of the track. So I just had to take that apart, put the pins back in, and now it works fine. And everything's together, and I've got a little consist on here. So let's see how she runs. Naturally, it'll probably start off backwards. No, it started off forward. Alrighty, off we go. Yeehaw, ladies and gentlemen, we have a ceiling railroad to go along with my little HO railroad right underneath it. You just can't have enough trains. And of course, it left the caboose behind again, the poor caboose. But let's stop it before they collide. But that's it. We've done it. Now I got to figure out what the heck is wrong with those Menards couplers. But at any rate, happy railroading.